Hello, guys. I just wanted to show you guys this. This is the speed trap right here. Uh, 50 kilometers an hour, which is exactly uh, 30 miles an hour. So it's a 30-mile an hour zone coming down this hill. And then why the cops use this for a speed trap is because there's quite an incline, a hill, and it'll actually make your car go faster. So it's a 30-mile an hour zone. I'm awful careful. And the cops, they sit down right around this corner down here. And I don't think they're there today. But they sit down right around this corner. This is where I come to do my. No, they're not there today. They kind of hide around that corner there, point their radar camera at the road. So this is where we come today to do our walk. It's a recreation area. People bring their dogs here. Uh, it's mostly a dog walk. Let's just come down here and park here. And we're going to do a walk and talk today. By the way, how are you guys doing? Shut the car off. Now, I got my iced tea ready to go. And that's what I have. I'll tell you what I do. I go for a little walk around the park. And the walk takes about 12 minutes. Then I come back to the car. I start the car up, warm myself up a little bit, and have a little sip of iced tea, you know. And I enjoy my walk. I like to go for a walk every day if I can, but this is one of the places I come quite often. Uh, right here. Now, down in that corner down there, I don't know if you can see it, that green top roof building down there, that's the sewage disposal plant down there for the city. They got it combined, kind of like they got a soccer field, they got two baseball fields, and I walk around the two baseball fields and soccer field, and it's approximately about a half of a mile to go around the whole thing, once around. Uh, I'm going to venture it right now and talk to you guys while we go for this walk. Walk the car up because it's quite a little ways around here. I hope the wind doesn't affect the microphone too much today. I can hear the crows off in the distance. They're all over the place. There's one right over there. He's cawing away. See him? I don't know if you can see him. He looks small in the camera from here. Now the ground is starting to thaw out. Still got ice everywhere. You got to be careful walking on it. Don't fall. So, what's going on with the stuff in the world? That wind, I should have put my long johns on. That wind's still a little bit cold today. It's right around freezing right now. 33 degrees Fahrenheit. And there's going to be some snowy patches on the walk. Things are unsettled in the world right now with the Ukraine situation and Trump trying to get some sort of a deal. I watched Zelensky come over to Washington. He's sitting down with Trump there, and they had what they call an argument, or whatever they called it. Altercation, maybe. Mostly when I was watching it, I thought to myself, hey, Trump was raising his voice, and he was very emphatic about the points he wanted to get through to Zelensky. And Zelensky was trying to talk at the same time. And I couldn't really make out what Zelensky was saying. It was like he was muttering some things, and I didn't really understand him. But Trump was getting his point across pretty good. He's saying something about he's risking World War III or something like that, which he is. I mean, it's true. And so I mean, Trump wants to end this war, and he's got to get everybody on board, you know. But the thing is how's it all going to pan out? Like right now, the whole thing's up in the air, and it's kind of in that process of like cooking along, like something cooking on the stove, you know. How's it going to turn out? Sometimes, you know, you can start a dish that you're going to cook, and you never know exactly how it's going to turn out until after it gets cooked. You know, sometimes you think, oh, this is going to be good. You know, I'm going to cook up these whatever. Maybe you got some potatoes or whatever. I'm going to cook them up, and I'm going to have a nice dinner, you know, with some fried pork or whatever, you know. And the potatoes all turn mushy. And you didn't expect them to. They all turn into soup, you know, and you're like, oh, it's just ruined my whole thing, you know. That's the way this is. This is cooking. Zelensky and Trump and these deals, they're cooking. And how are they going to actually turn out? Try not to jiggle this camera. I'll tell you guys, there's no stabilization on this camera. I'm holding it as I walk. Really, it's a pretty place down here by the river. That's the river. There's the bridge. And the river's frozen over today. And no, I'm not going to venture out there. It's sinking the ice. Anyway, so there's the baseball field. They got one there, and they got another one there, and they got a soccer field over there. So we're walking around the second baseball field right now. So I'm waiting a couple days and to see how this is all going to pan out with Trump and the heated exchange with Zelensky, and I'm going to see how the whole thing settles out. Will they get an end to this war? And then there's the tariffs. You know, China. I think is it 20%, 10%, or 20% on China. But you know, China's already said they're going to fire back somehow, and so if they fire back, then that tariff could go up from 10 to 20% to 30 to 40%, depending on how China reacts. Because these reciprocal, they said this is reciprocal. The United States has said that this is reciprocal, the tariffs. You know, I'm going to tell you guys something. Almost everywhere you go, except for a few places, maybe Florida, you know, and there's just a few places on Earth you can go, but almost anywhere you can go, like Nova Scotia is no exception. If there's, do you know there's gold? There is, like, even in this baseball field park right here, you know, if you were to sift through this soil, you'd find flecks of gold. You know, people go to, I don't know, I know I changed the subject a little bit, but this is a walk and talk. We can talk about anything we want. People go to Home Depot and they buy the bags of sand, clay sand, and they filter it, and they find little flecks of gold in it. I think one guy bought like 1,000 pounds of Home Depot clay sand, and he went through the whole thing. And of course, when you look at it, when you pour it out, you don't see any gold in it. But if you run it through a pan, run it through a sluice, it collects the small amounts of gold. You get like $200 worth of gold, you know, in the clay sand. Of course, it's not worth mining it because it's such a small amount, you know. But you know, even in this soil right here, you'd find small trace amounts, not worth mining, grant you, but it's almost everywhere. I don't think there's any gold in Florida. Not a bit. I don't think. I used to live in Florida. Florida's a giant sandbar from the washout, from all of the from flooding. where it washed all the sediment down from the upper 49 states, and there was a coral reef there, and it's down about 100 feet underneath the Florida sand. You will find things like seashells, stuff like that, you know. And must have been some extensive flooding in the great past, you know, to cause a sandbar that size in the Normandy. Well, it's probably the same event that washed out the Grand Canyon. You know, they say erosion made the Grand Canyon. You know how small that river is down the bottom of that gorge compared to the size of the gorge? It would have taken a lot more water than that river. Anyway, just saying. So, this is where they do the dogs down here. They got the little dog park set up here. But there's no dogs in here today. They'll probably show up. I'm not surprised there's not a few down here. Generally, there's always a few down here. I'm a dog lover, big dog lover. So I like to watch the dogs, and I like to watch them play here in the park with their owners. Of course, you got to be a little bit careful. You don't want to approach a dog. I mean, dogs are funny. They're very territorial. And sometimes, if they come here enough to this little park to run around, what they do is they start to think it belongs to them. And they'll go, sometimes they go on the attack. You know, just got to be a little bit careful around them. Some dogs are extremely territorial. Other dogs couldn't care less. They're just like people. They have their own personalities. But some of them are big. Look at the size of that dog print. They got some big Great Danes and stuff that come down in here, and big monster dogs. What's this big pile of gook here? Oh, gosh, trying to get around this. What did they put this in here for? Yeah, there we go. And this is where they let the dogs into the run, right here. There's another. This is two. There's two runs. This bigger run and the smaller run. And anyway, so we've just about done a half a mile. Getting there anyway. What's it say here? Code of conduct for the barking lot. This off-leash dog park is for dogs and their handlers. Those accompanying them. The barking lot. Off-leash dog park. I think they do a great job. So then it goes down into the river, down below. Let's just walk down there for a little bit. So what about the Golden Fort Knox? Is it there? Yeah, I'll tell you what I think's happening. Do you notice how the media is dropping that? Like a hot potato? Elon Musk went in there and he was like, oh yeah, let's go in and see what's in the vault. And Trump was like, oh yeah, let's go in and see what's in the vault. You know? And they're right on. Now all of a sudden they're not talking about it or nothing, neither one of them. What do you think happened? I bet you that whole thing's just going to drop. They're just going to drop it. You're never going to hear a damn thing about it. They'll probably never go into that vault because it's too big. It's bigger than them. I know Elon Musk and Trump are really big. They're really big. DOGE and all that power, you know. But then we're talking about a situation here that could blow up. I mean, if there's no gold in the vault or some of it's missing, it could blow up the entire world. And maybe there's more going on to that situation than we're being led in to believe. You know? I don't think I'm going to go down in here too far today because it's the ice and stuff. I need to get a good look at the river down in here. You know, that trail is all iced over, and it's a sloping ice. That's the worst kind to fall. I better not manage to go in there. That's wait until that ice melts. But this is a great place to come down here for a walk. I'm quite a little ways from the car right now. Oh, I forgot to take my cigarette lighter with me. Oh my gosh. Let's hope the car's warm. Let's hope it's not below freezing that lock. I won't get in my car. I hate to have to walk all the way down to the store to get and I didn't put my long johns on. Why didn't I put my long johns on? My legs were already freezing. Oh my, such is life. Let's just see if we can get in that car. Hopefully there's enough heat in the car to keep that lock from freezing. Why didn't I bring my cigarette lighter with me to unlock the door? See, what you do is you heat up the end of your key with a cigarette lighter and you stick it in the lock and it opens it. That lock is notorious for freezing. Uh-oh. I'll find out when I get back to the car, I guess. So what about the UFO situation? The drone in New Jersey. They dropped that story like a hot potato, too. I think it was around the 20th of November, 2024, that started. And it was over sensitive military installations, some of which they store nuclear stuff. And, you know, President's Golf Club, a number of other places around where they store stuff, you know. And so all around the world, it was not really a New Jersey, completely just New Jersey. They were spotting them in other cities all around the world, including spotting them out where the fires were out there. It was around in that same time, I think about 2 days later, that Russia fired the Orshnuk intermediate range nuclear weapon at Ukraine. And it carried, I think, about a dozen warheads, nuclear-tipped warheads. So he fired that thing, and it come down on the city. It didn't do hardly any damage because each of the warheads, they didn't go off nuclear. It was just conventional explosions. Didn't do hardly any. Well, did a little bit of damage to the city. But you know, that's not really what that weapon's intended for. It's intended to blow the whole city to pieces. And there's like 1 million people there. I think there's 1 million people in the city. What city was that? Dnipro? Was it one of those Ukrainian cities? I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. But it was like 2 days after the UFO sightings started to manifest themselves in around New Jersey. He launched that missile. And it seems like one of two things I could think of. Either it was intentional by the Russians that the nuke weapons didn't go off in it, or it was a malfunction, perhaps. I don't know. But you know, there's been an awful lot of stuff happening. And we're back to the car. Let's hope we get in. Oh, because I'm freezing. My legs are freezing. Why didn't I put my long johns on? Come on, baby. Come on. Ah, good. That'll teach me to care. Always take your with you. You liar. Oh my gosh. I don't know what there is about it. Ooh, it's nice to get in this warm car. That wind, being out in that wind. You know, there's a couple people down there coming walking back where I was down there, where the ice was. They must have been down in that trail. Huh. Well, if they're careful, they could make their way across that ice without falling. I wasn't going to try it. I know you can actually, when you start to get over 60, you got to be careful falls, really hard falls, especially on your ass, because your bones break easier than when you're younger. And the worst thing is to break a hip bone. Older people, anybody over 60, doesn't matter if it's a man or woman, but I think women are a little bit more susceptible to breaking their hip. Oh, that's a bad one. You break your hip, you're immobilized for like 6 months. You know, it's just a sudden snap. You fall on your tail, you have a hard fall, and snap goes your hip. You know, I mean, it probably never happened to me, but I mean, I'm just being careful, not trying not to fall in the winter. Oh, here's a dog. Yeah. Anyway, so I try not to. Boy, look how thick and muscly that dog's rear end hind is. Man, he's got some muscles on him. Does he take steroids? He's one of those naturally muscly dogs. They're out there. There's a number of them. Yeah. Anyway, guys, so I'm going to be on tomorrow. Do our regular show, regular time, Sunday show. I hope you guys are having a great week. Hope you guys enjoyed seeing my walking place. And the dreary weather, it's always dreary every day. See these type of clouds that we're getting here? These are clouds that normally only form over the polar regions. And they've been forming over here, over the New England, northern New England area for the last year or so. And it's very unusual to see them. It's got to do with the polar vortex. It's making its way quite far south in the middle of the wintertime now. I'm not going to say it's a new phenomenon, but I think it's directly connected to the what they used to call the Gulf Stream in the old days. Now they call it the Atlantic Meridian something or another, AMOC, they call it. And it's a water conveyor belt that moves the heat from the southern ocean, the tropics, into the northern areas and disperses it. If you don't have that mechanism working, what happens is the heat builds up to the south, and the cold air builds up too much to the north because the water's not moving that heat and cool anymore. It's the air that has to move it. The heat and the cool still be there, but they build up. And then what they do is they release their energy in a storm. And this is why they know this. And this is why now they're talking about a Category 6 hurricane or storm. That's why they're talking about that, because they know that that's the effect. And that effect is stronger storms, because there's more heat in the south for the storms to feed off of, and more cold air to the north to help intensify them. So you get bigger and heavier storms than you used to. It kind of works the way the desert works, you know. In the desert, the nighttime temperatures can drop down into below freezing, you know. And in the daytime, you're sweltering. The temperature's up like 100 degrees. In the desert, the temperature changes very, very quickly and abruptly because of the atmosphere. Desert changes the atmosphere slightly. So, I mean, this is the way it works. Anyway, I'm rambling on. Oh, they got a little skate park down there too, guys. I forgot to mention that, you know. And you know, that's surprising. We're out here in the middle of nowhere, and in Nova Scotia, Canada, but kids actually use that thing in the summertime. You'd be surprised how many kids come down here in the summertime and use that skate park. Well, you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.